Some crimes are hard to understand, and the stories behind them are even harder to forget. This is HerCrime. On a quiet morning in Houston, Texas, a call came in that would stop an entire nation. A calm voice said something almost impossible to process. "I killed my kids." Inside the home, 5 young lives were gone. There were no signs of chaos, no struggle, only silence and stillness. The woman behind the call was Andrea Yates, a mother of 5, living what many believed was a quiet life, but beneath the surface, something was changing. For years, Andrea had been struggling with a severe mental illness, a silent battle fought within the quiet corners of her own home. The outside world saw a mother, a wife. But inside, a different story was unfolding. What began as postpartum depression, a shadow she thought would pass, slowly became something deeper and more consuming. There were moments where reality itself began to shift, the familiar architecture of her life feeling suddenly alien, where thoughts no longer felt grounded in truth, but were distorted by a paranoia that whispered from the shadows. Her own mind had become an unreliable narrator, leaving her isolated in a world she no longer recognized, a descent into darkness. Over time, the quiet hum of daily life was replaced by a different frequency. Her thoughts, once her own, began to take a different, more sinister shape, twisting into unfamiliar patterns. She became convinced, with a certainty that chilled her to the bone, that something was coming. A creeping, formless dread that seeped through the cracks of her reality. It was a presence she could feel in the stillness of the house, an unstoppable force gathering just beyond the veil. And in her mind, a terrible singular logic took root. There was only one way to protect her children from the darkness she knew was inevitable. One final desperate act. In 2002, she finally stood trial, the culmination of a case that had gripped the nation. The courtroom was packed, the air thick with anticipation, as 2 starkly different narratives were presented. Prosecutors argued she was a cold, calculating woman who knew exactly what she was doing. But her defense told a different, more tragic story, that she had been pushed to the brink, losing control of her mind completely. They argued she was a victim of her own deteriorating mental state. After weeks of testimony, the jury delivered its verdict. They found her guilty. But for many, the question of her sanity would linger long after the gavel fell. But the case didn't end there. A critical error changed everything. Her conviction was overturned, and a new trial was ordered. In 2006, the verdict changed. Andrea Yates was found not guilty by reason of insanity, not innocent, but not legally responsible. Today she remains in a psychiatric facility, and her case still leaves behind a question: was this a crime or a warning that came too late? Because sometimes it's something no one saw coming.